Urgent, Luka Doncic surprised fans and supporters by appearing with a visibly leaner and more defined physique. Stay until the end to find out everything, but first leave your like and subscribe to the channel. The NBA world was taken aback this offseason by the remarkable physical transformation of Luka Doncic, the Slovenian superstar known for his elite basketball IQ and signature step-back three. This summer, however, Doncic has become a headline for something beyond his court vision: his dramatically improved physique. Now 26, the Los Angeles Lakers franchise player has been spotted in multiple training videos circulating on social media, showcasing a leaner, more defined frame that has sparked conversations among fans, analysts, and former players alike. His transformation is being called one of the most surprising body changes seen in recent NBA history. Gone is the slightly bulky frame that led some critics to question his conditioning during long playoff runs. In its place stands a sculpted version of Doncic, seemingly quicker on his feet, sharper in movement, and visibly more energetic during workouts. The intensity of his regimen is apparent, not only in the weight room but also on the hardwood, where he executes agility drills and shooting practices with renewed explosiveness. In a recent interview, Doncic acknowledged the difference not just in appearance but in how he feels physically and mentally. "Visually, my whole body just looks and feels better," he said with confidence. "My sleep has improved. I feel more refreshed. This year, working closely with my team, I believe we've made a massive leap forward." The commitment Doncic refers to is no small matter. Featured on the summer cover of Men's Health magazine, the NBA star opened up about his strict nutritional discipline and comprehensive training schedule. According to the article, Doncic has adopted a gluten-free, low-sugar, high-protein diet, a move aimed at reducing inflammation and optimizing recovery. The training program includes 2-a-day sessions, combining strength training, high-intensity agility work, and skill-based basketball drills. What's more striking than his physical change is the purpose behind it. Sources close to Doncic reveal that the transformation is not just for appearance or preseason hype. It's a calculated effort to extend his career longevity, reduce susceptibility to injuries, and elevate his defensive presence, an area previously marked as one of his few weaknesses. Coaches and performance consultants working with the Lakers are optimistic. They believe that a physically optimized Doncic could not only increase his offensive dominance but also anchor the team's perimeter defense in high-pressure situations. Fans are equally enthusiastic, flooding social media with praise and speculation. Some have gone as far as to compare this offseason to legendary turnarounds, likening it to the years when superstars like LeBron James or Kobe Bryant reinvented their bodies to adapt to evolving stages in their careers. While the full impact of this transformation won't be fully visible until the regular season begins, the message is already clear. Luka Doncic is not content with just being great, he wants to be unstoppable. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore the inner workings of Doncic's new routine, meet the team behind his metamorphosis, and uncover how this change may shift the balance of power in the NBA. Behind every elite athlete's evolution stands a carefully selected team of professionals. And for Luka Doncic, this offseason has been about assembling one of the most specialized and forward-thinking performance units in the NBA. While Doncic may be the face of the transformation, the work taking place behind the scenes is equally responsible for the results that have stunned the basketball world. Sources close to the Lakers organization describe this offseason as a turning point in Doncic's personal approach to training and self-care. The shift began shortly after the Lakers' disappointing exit from last season's playoffs, a series in which Doncic played well statistically but admitted afterward that he didn't feel physically at his best down the stretch. Determined not to repeat that narrative, Doncic and his management team began consulting with top-tier experts in sports science, nutrition, strength and conditioning, and mental performance. Together, they crafted a comprehensive blueprint aimed not just at physical change but at total body optimization. One of the first additions was a full-time performance coach with a background in European football and NBA biomechanics. His philosophy emphasized functional movement over traditional weightlifting, focusing on injury prevention, core strength, and efficiency of motion. "We realized Luka's talent was never the question, it was about sustainability," the coach told Men's Health. "We're working to ensure that his body doesn't limit his greatness. Alongside the performance coach, Doncic brought in a chef trained in medical nutrition therapy. The mission was clear: eliminate foods that caused fatigue or inflammation and build a meal plan that fueled high-performance training without compromising taste or comfort. Meals became smaller, more frequent, and incredibly precise, each with measured levels of protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Gluten was cut completely, sugar intake was drastically reduced, and hydration became a daily science project. Additionally, Doncic began working with a sleep specialist to tackle what had quietly become a lingering problem in previous seasons: erratic sleep patterns due to late-night travel and post-game adrenaline. Using tracking devices and individualized protocols, they recalibrated his sleep routine, improving both quantity and quality of rest. The final and perhaps most unexpected addition to the team was a mental performance coach, an expert in sports psychology who had previously worked with Olympic athletes. The sessions focused on mindfulness, visualization, and mental resilience, preparing Doncic to remain composed and locked in through the highs and lows of an 82-game season. What makes this story so remarkable isn't just the personnel involved, but the fact that Doncic, still in his mid-20s and already one of the league's most accomplished players, chose to re-engineer his entire process from the ground up. It reflects a maturity and long-term vision that many superstars only begin to adopt later in their careers. "He's always been incredibly skilled," said a member of the Lakers coaching staff. "But this summer showed us a different kind of hunger, a willingness to embrace discomfort, to work on parts of his game and lifestyle that nobody sees. That's what separates the good from the great." As Doncic's new team refined his diet, sleep, strength, and mindset, the results quickly followed. Training footage released weekly revealed a visibly leaner physique, quicker footwork, and a sense of explosiveness that had been missing in seasons past. But more than anything, there was an intangible shift. He looked happier, more energized, and genuinely motivated. Now, the Lakers organization finds itself reinvigorated by the ripple effects of Doncic's transformation. Teammates have reportedly stepped up their own routines, inspired by the example he's set. Front office executives, initially surprised by the level of investment Doncic was making, are now exploring ways to replicate elements of his program across the roster. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the structure of Luka's daily routine: what time he wakes, what he eats, how he trains, and how every hour of his day is crafted to produce elite-level performance. To fully understand the scale of Luka Doncic's offseason evolution, you have to look beyond the highlight clips and magazine covers. The real story unfolds in the rhythm of his daily routine, a precisely structured, high-performance lifestyle designed to optimize every facet of his body and mind. Gone are the unpredictable wake-up times and unstructured rest days. Luka now lives on a tight schedule that balances training intensity with strategic recovery. It's a routine he helped shape with his team, based on both sports science and personal sustainability. 6:30 a.m., wake up and hydration. Doncic's mornings begin early. By 6:30 a.m., he's awake and consuming a specialized hydration formula, a blend of electrolytes, sea salt, and collagen, to replenish fluids and kickstart his metabolism. His phone remains untouched for the first 30 minutes as he eases into the day with silence and intentional breathing. 7 a.m., mobility and activation. Before touching any weights or stepping onto the court, Doncic begins with mobility work led by his performance coach. This includes resistance band drills, joint articulation exercises, and light foam rolling. The goal is to activate his nervous system and ensure his movement patterns are clean and efficient. 7:45 a.m., first meal. Breakfast is tailored to the demands of the training ahead. Usually a high-protein, moderate-carb meal, it might include cage-free eggs, avocado, gluten-free oats, and a portion of lean meat or Greek yogurt. Sugar and processed foods are off-limits. Everything is measured and logged by his nutritionist. 8:30 a.m., strength and power session. Doncic's first training block of the day focuses on strength development. However, unlike traditional bodybuilding routines, his program is built around compound movements, core stability, and neuromuscular control. Olympic lifts, sled pushes, plyometrics, and resistance circuits are staples. Every movement is tracked with wearable sensors that monitor muscle output, heart rate variability, and fatigue. Adjustments are made in real time to avoid overtraining or injury. 10:15 a.m. Recovery block. Immediately after strength training, Doncic transitions into recovery. This could include cold immersion therapy, contrast baths, massage therapy, or guided breathing exercises. His heart rate and muscle temperature are monitored to determine when he's ready for the next workload. 11 a.m. Film review and strategy. While the body recovers, the mind stays sharp. Doncic spends part of his late morning in film sessions, sometimes alone, sometimes with coaches. These reviews focus on offensive reads, defensive rotations, and decision-making under pressure. 12 p.m. Second meal. Lunch is often the largest meal of his day. Organic vegetables, wild-caught fish or grass-fed beef, gluten-free grains like quinoa or sweet potato, and anti-inflammatory spices like turmeric and ginger. The food is cooked in olive oil or avocado oil, avoiding seed oils entirely. 1 p.m. Rest and mental coaching. Afternoons begin with a power nap or guided meditation. On certain days, Doncic meets with his mental performance coach. These sessions center around visualization drills, goal setting, and emotional regulation, training his mind to be as sharp as his crossover. 3 p.m. On-court skill work. This is where Doncic's brilliance shines. Ball handling, mid-range shooting, footwork, and pick-and-roll decision-making make up this court session. Some days focus on conditioning through game speed drills. Others are slower and more technical. His coaches incorporate simulated defensive pressure, shot clock scenarios, and movement patterns designed to mimic real in-game situations. The result? Increased muscle memory and faster processing speed under duress. 5 p.m. Cool down and nutrient timing. Post-court, Doncic engages in a short yoga session, followed by a custom shake rich in branched-chain amino acids, collagen peptides, and antioxidants. Dinner follows shortly after, a lighter, recovery-focused meal with lean protein, leafy greens, and complex carbs. 8 p.m. Digital detox and wind down. Phones and screens are put away at least 90 minutes before bed. Doncic uses red light therapy, stretching, or light reading to prepare his mind for rest. The goal? Deep, uninterrupted sleep. His room is kept at 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 19 degrees Celsius, pitch dark and sound isolated. 9:30 p.m., lights out. With all devices off, he aims for 8 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep, a cornerstone of his transformation. While fans have only caught glimpses of Luka Doncic's transformation through social media and magazine covers, those within the Los Angeles Lakers organization have seen it firsthand, and they're still processing what it means. Private scrimmages and controlled team workouts began early this summer at the Lakers training facility in El Segundo. Coaches expected progress from Doncic, but what they witnessed was a revelation. A quicker, more explosive, and more locked-in version of their star, seemingly unburdened by the physical limitations of previous seasons. It wasn't just about how he looked, said one assistant coach. It was how he moved. His lateral speed, his balance, the way he absorbed contact. It was like seeing a completely upgraded model of the same player. From the opening week of workouts, Doncic displayed a newfound dominance, not just in scoring but in aspects of the game where he'd previously drawn criticism. Defensively, he closed out on shooters with urgency, fought through screens with minimal delay, and communicated constantly on rotations. No longer conserving energy on that end of the floor, he was now leading by example. Teammates took notice. Veteran players reported that Doncic was arriving earlier, staying longer, and attacking drills with more intensity than ever before. His energy was infectious, setting a tone that elevated the entire gym. Players who once saw him as a creative genius now began viewing him as a complete two-way competitor. Luka's always been brilliant with the ball, said a team source. But now he's got this edge to him, like he's playing with something to prove. Offensively, his usual arsenal of step-backs, floaters, and bullet passes remained intact. But now there was added burst. His first step out of a hesitation dribble was quicker. His ability to change pace, already elite, was now paired with a body that could support it without lag or fatigue. On transition plays, Doncic often led the break with more urgency, even finishing above the rim, something rarely seen in previous seasons. Perhaps the most telling moment came during a full-speed 5-on-5 scrimmage. With the shot clock winding down, Doncic isolated against a quicker guard and exploded to the rim off his left foot, absorbing contact mid-air and finishing with authority. The play earned audible reactions from the sideline, not because it was flashy but because it was efficient, assertive, and physical. "That was the first time I saw him play angry," one teammate whispered. "And I loved it." His mental approach had shifted too. Coaches noted a reduction in frustration when calls didn't go his way. Instead of gesturing at referees or showing signs of emotional fatigue, Doncic refocused instantly. His body language had matured. He led huddles, encouraged rookies, and challenged veterans during competitive drills. It wasn't just individual growth. Doncic's transformation appeared to be having a ripple effect throughout the Lakers' locker room. Teammates, motivated by the example he was setting, began adjusting their own off-season approaches. Nutrition habits improved. Extra shooting sessions became common. Even veterans began adopting elements of Luka's recovery protocol. The coaching staff quickly realized they had to adjust their expectations, not down but up. With a more physically resilient Doncic anchoring the team, schemes that once seemed too defensively demanding were now back on the table. Transition defense, once a weak spot, could become a strength. Pick-and-roll coverage could become more aggressive. Internally, buzz began to grow. Lakers insiders started whispering about MVP-caliber potential. Some even said this version of Luka resembled the kind of athlete who could dominate a playoff series on both ends of the floor, something only a handful of players in the league can claim. "This isn't just a strong offseason," said one member of the Lakers analytics team. "This feels like a career pivot point. Luka's rewriting his own ceiling." Still, the organization remains cautious. As promising as the signs are, they know the NBA season is long, and regular season success doesn't guarantee postseason dominance. But behind closed doors, one thing is clear. The Lakers believe they're witnessing the birth of a new era, not just for the team but for Luka Doncic himself. In Chapter 5, we'll explore how Doncic's transformation has been received by his international fan base in Slovenia and Europe, and the growing pride and expectations from those who watched him rise from prodigy to global icon. Luka Doncic has long been a household name across the basketball world, but in Europe, particularly in his native Slovenia, his name carries a deeper meaning. He isn't just an NBA superstar. He is a national icon, a symbol of pride, and a living bridge between European basketball and the sport's biggest global stage. So when images and videos of Doncic's dramatically transformed physique began circulating across social media and international news outlets, the reaction in Slovenia was swift and emotional. "He looks like a warrior now," one headline in a major Slovenian sports publication read. "A new era for our Luka." From Ljubljana to Madrid, where Doncic began his professional journey with Real Madrid in the EuroLeague, fans have followed his career with deep admiration. But what many Europeans see in this off-season transformation goes beyond physical change. For them, it's symbolic. It's proof that the boy wonder who took on grown men in European arenas at age 16 is still evolving, still pushing his limits, and still carrying the hopes of an entire region with him. Local news stations in Slovenia have begun running regular updates on his workouts, and evening talk shows debate whether this version of Doncic might lead the national team to further glory in international competitions. Even political figures have commented publicly on his off-season grind, using it as a metaphor for national pride and discipline. "Luka represents the spirit of Slovenia," said a member of parliament during a televised sports segment. "And when he reinvents himself like this, it inspires more than just basketball players, it lifts an entire generation." In schools across the country, physical education teachers have reportedly begun using clips of Luka's workouts as motivation for their students. Coaches in youth basketball academies now refer to his off-season commitment as an example of what it means to be a professional, even for those dreaming of making it beyond Europe's top leagues. Interestingly, this evolution is also changing how European fans view NBA culture. There's a growing sense that Doncic's transformation blends the discipline and fundamentals of European training with the cutting-edge science and intensity of the NBA. For European athletes who often see the NBA as a distant world filled with talent but lacking structure, Doncic now embodies the possibility of mastering both systems. "He's not just European anymore," said a former EuroLeague coach. "He's global, but he hasn't forgotten where he came from. That's what makes it powerful." In Madrid, where Doncic played from age 13 to 19, former teammates and coaches have spoken publicly about his evolution. Many remember his work ethic even as a teenager, often staying after team practice to shoot alone in the gym under dim lights. Seeing him now, stronger and more refined, is not a surprise, but rather a validation of everything they saw in him back then. Across the continent, media outlets are re-airing documentaries and highlight reels chronicling Doncic's journey, from the dusty courts of Ljubljana to EuroLeague MVP and eventually, NBA stardom. But now new segments are being added. His off-season grind, his dietary discipline, his mental fortitude. In Slovenia, murals have already begun to appear. Fresh paintings of Doncic not in action but mid-training, drenched in sweat and laser-focused. The message is clear. This is a man dedicated to something bigger than fame. He's becoming a symbol of reinvention, of pushing past expectations when it would be easy to settle into greatness. And for fans who've followed him since the beginning, this moment feels like a rebirth. Not because he was broken, but because he's proving that greatness isn't static, it's forged, refined, and rebuilt year after year. "We're not just watching Luka Doncic," a Slovenian broadcaster said recently. "We're witnessing the crafting of a legend in real time." In Chapter 6, we'll examine the implications of Doncic's transformation on the Lakers' title hopes, how the front office is adjusting its strategy around him, and why this could be the team's most balanced roster in years. Luka Doncic's physical and mental overhaul hasn't just drawn admiration from fans or inspired awe in teammates, it has fundamentally altered the Los Angeles Lakers' internal strategy. What began as a personal commitment to self-improvement has quickly become a central pivot in the franchise's planning for the upcoming season. In previous years, the Lakers relied heavily on Doncic's brilliance to keep them afloat in tight games. His usage rate was among the highest in the league, and while he consistently delivered, there were signs that the burden was beginning to wear on him. Fatigue in fourth quarters. Defensive lapses. Moments of visible frustration. But now, with a visibly more durable and dynamic version of their star in hand, the Lakers' front office and coaching staff are shifting gears. "We always knew Luka was elite," said a Lakers executive. "But this version of him opens doors we didn't think were realistic before." Offensive system adjustments. Head coach Darvin Ham and his assistants have spent the summer reworking aspects of the Lakers' offensive system. The plan is no longer to simply revolve around Luka's isolation skills or his ability to orchestrate high pick-and-rolls. Instead, the team is introducing more off-ball movement, secondary actions, and sets that allow Luka to attack from different angles, coming off screens, posting up smaller defenders, and even cutting backdoor for quick finishes. This new style leverages his improved quickness and stamina, giving defenses less time to lock in on him. "When Luka's conditioning went up, it gave us freedom to be more creative," said one member of the coaching staff. "We can keep him moving and defenses can't just camp and help side coverage anymore." The team has also reduced his expected ball handling load, redistributing some initiation duties to secondary creators. This means Luka can conserve energy for key moments and focus on efficient decision-making rather than constant creation. Defensive repositioning. Perhaps the biggest internal shift has come on the defensive side. For years, critics saw Doncic as a liability in matchups against quicker guards or in late-game switches. Now, with a leaner frame and enhanced lateral movement, coaches are testing him in more aggressive defensive schemes. This includes switching onto wings, blitzing pick-and-rolls, and closing out hard on perimeter shooters, responsibilities that previously would have been off the table. Early internal metrics from training camp scrimmages suggest his defensive rating in practice situations has improved notably. The Lakers believe that even a marginal leap on the defensive end could have massive consequences. With Anthony Davis protecting the rim and Luka improving as a point-of-attack defender, the team's ability to lock down in crucial stretches is becoming a legitimate strength. Roster moves with Luka in mind. This transformation has also influenced how the front office builds around him. In the past, roster moves were made to ease his workload, adding shooters, rebounders, and secondary ball handlers. Now, with Doncic entering what many are calling his prime 2.0, the emphasis is shifting toward maximizing spacing, pace, and defensive versatility. The Lakers recently added a pair of long, switchable wing defenders and a veteran shooter known for his movement without the ball. Players who complement a more active, engaged Doncic rather than just standing ready to catch and shoot. "We're not protecting Luka anymore," said a source close to Lakers management. "We're empowering him. He's ready for that." Chemistry and leadership. Beyond the X's and O's, there's a growing sense that Doncic's transformation has elevated his role as a leader. The respect he commands is no longer based solely on talent. It's earned through discipline, sacrifice, and example. Young players on the roster speak openly about watching his workouts and changing their own habits. Even within team meetings, his voice carries more weight. Teammates describe him as more vocal, more assertive, and more engaged with film breakdowns and on-court corrections. The Lakers haven't just gained a better athlete. They've gained a leader who looks ready to take full ownership of the team's identity. Eyes on the trophy. With the Western Conference more competitive than ever, the Lakers know that nothing is guaranteed. But privately, there's real optimism, not just because Luka Doncic looks better, but because the organization finally feels aligned behind a version of him capable of leading a championship run. "This isn't just Luka's team," said a team official. "This is Luka's moment, and we're building around that." As images of Luka Doncic's transformed physique began spreading like wildfire across social media, executives, coaches, and players around the NBA quietly took notice. But now, with insider reports confirming his enhanced conditioning, expanded skill set, and evolving leadership, the reaction has evolved from curiosity to concern. "This isn't just a hot off-season," an anonymous Western Conference scout remarked. "This is a warning." While many off-season transformations are hyped and quickly forgotten, what sets Doncic's apart is its visible and functional impact. Scrimmage footage, word from Lakers practices, and trusted performance metrics all point in the same direction. This version of Luka may be the most dangerous yet. The MVP conversation rekindled. In past seasons, Luka Doncic was frequently mentioned in early MVP discussions. His numbers were always spectacular, near triple-double averages, top-tier offensive efficiency, and countless highlight reel plays. But his MVP campaigns often faded mid-season due to team inconsistency, defensive limitations, or questions about his stamina in back-to-backs and long road trips. This year the tone has shifted. With reports emerging that Doncic is physically prepared to handle an 82-game season at peak performance, several odds makers and analysts are revisiting their projections. Sports betting platforms have already shortened his MVP odds, and major media outlets are discussing him as a frontrunner, not just a dark horse. "If this version of Luka holds through April," said one analyst on a national sports show, "we might be looking at the most complete MVP case in years." What bolsters his campaign now isn't just statistics. It's narrative. The league loves a redemption arc, and Doncic's reinvention, not from failure but from self-assessment, is resonating. He didn't hit rock bottom. He just looked in the mirror and chose to evolve. That's the kind of leadership that voters reward. Opponents taking notice. Behind closed doors, rival teams are already making adjustments. Defensive schemes once used to exploit Doncic's slower footwork may now be obsolete. Coaches can no longer assume he'll tire late in games or take plays off on defense. "You used to build your plan around forcing Luka into help," one assistant coach from a Western Conference contender shared. "Now, you might need a second plan for when that doesn't work." Players too are showing newfound respect. Privately, guards who once hunted Luka on switches in crunch time are backing off, aware that he now possesses the lateral quickness and stamina to fight back. Forwards who expected to overpower him in the post are finding more resistance than before. His reputation is changing, from a genius playmaker with exploitable gaps, to a two-way threat with the physical tools to back his mentality. The West feels the shift. The Western Conference is no stranger to chaos. With elite teams stacked across the board, Denver, Golden State, Phoenix, Sacramento, Minnesota, the margin between home court advantage and a play-in spot is razor thin. In such a competitive field, even a 10% improvement from a superstar can tip the balance. That's why Luka's transformation matters. The Lakers, already a playoff-caliber team, now project as a legitimate title contender, not just because of roster depth, but because their cornerstone has entered a new tier. The ripple effect of a more explosive and disciplined Doncic could elevate the entire rotation. And rival GMs know it. "We've had to revisit how we scout the Lakers," said one front office exec. "You can't prepare for Luka the same way anymore. That changes everything." Media and global hype. Doncic's transformation hasn't just altered league dynamics, it's fueled a media frenzy. Headlines across U.S. sports networks, European outlets, and global fan blogs are filled with speculation about what this version of Luka could achieve. Social media platforms are flooded with side-by-side photos, workout comparisons, and viral highlights. Even players from other sports, including international footballers and tennis stars, have commented on his dedication and mindset. The hype is undeniable. But unlike other media cycles built on speculation, this one is being backed by performance, behavior, and results, all of which point to something real. Still, the season will tell all. For all the optimism and buzz, Luka Doncic and the Lakers know that true judgment will come only when the games begin to count. Off-season progress is promising, but playoff success remains the true proving ground. Yet for now the league is watching. Game plans are shifting. Narratives are changing. And the balance of power, long dictated by a handful of names at the top, may be tilting in a new direction. "You can't stop someone who gets better every time you think he's peaked," an NBA commentator recently said. And that's Luka Doncic right now. If Luka Doncic's physical transformation has captured the eyes of fans and analysts around the world, his mental evolution may be the most powerful, and least visible, element behind this off-season rebirth. While muscle and movement can be measured, the recalibration of mindset is more subtle. But those closest to him say it's undeniable. Luka is not just training harder, he's thinking differently. The shift began quietly. After the Lakers' elimination in the previous postseason, Doncic remained in Los Angeles instead of returning immediately to Slovenia. He asked for a meeting, not with his agent or the coaching staff, but with a performance psychologist recommended by a former Olympic champion. The request surprised some around him. Luka was known for his confidence and swagger, not for needing external mental coaching. But Doncic wasn't coming from a place of weakness. He wanted to push his ceiling higher. "I realized I was spending energy on the wrong things," he said in a recent interview. "Complaining to refs. Getting frustrated at small mistakes. I had to grow out of that." And grow he did. Over the summer, Doncic began weekly sessions focused on mindfulness, focus under stress, and emotional regulation. With the help of the psychologist, he built mental routines, simple, repeatable actions that ground him during chaos. Visualization and control. Before every training session, Doncic now spends 5 to 10 minutes in silence, eyes closed, visualizing game situations. Not highlight plays, but gritty, uncomfortable ones. Missing a shot, getting trapped in the corner, being down in the fourth quarter. The goal is to mentally rehearse discomfort so that, in the moment, he stays composed. Coaches have already noticed the results. During scrimmages, Doncic no longer reacts to missed calls with frustration. Instead, he resets quickly, eyes forward, often calling the next play before others have even stopped arguing. "It's not robotic," said one assistant coach. "It's focused." He's learned how to stay present. Emotional maturity on and off the court. Perhaps the most striking change has been Luka's demeanor off the court. Friends say he's more grounded, more intentional with his time. He's cut back on late-night gaming and social distractions. He journals in the evenings. He's reduced screen time significantly before games and practices. For a player whose fame arrived young and fast, this shift in discipline is impressive. Even veteran stars often struggle with the transition from instinctual brilliance to structured excellence. Doncic appears to be embracing it with humility and purpose. He's also taken a new approach to failure. In past seasons, a bad shooting night might have lingered in his body language for days. Now losses are analyzed, not internalized. His mental coach refers to it as feedback, not identity. "I don't tie bad games to who I am anymore," Doncic recently shared. "That's been a game changer for me." Leadership through calm. Luka's mental evolution is also influencing his role as a leader. Teammates describe a player who listens more, speaks more clearly, and leads without forcing it. He's more open to feedback, quicker to credit others, and more likely to calm tense moments than escalate them. During a recent closed-door practice, a rookie turned the ball over in a late clock situation. Instead of rolling his eyes or waving him off, Doncic pulled him aside and explained the read with clarity and patience. "He's becoming the kind of leader you want to follow," one veteran said. "He's not just playing the part, he believes in the role." Reframing pressure. Doncic has never shied away from big moments. But in his early years, that confidence was rooted in instinct and talent. Now it's built on preparation, both physical and mental. His new mindset reframes pressure not as something to avoid, but something to embrace and even enjoy. He refers to it as training the response, practicing how to breathe, how to react, how to speak even under duress. It's a quiet, methodical process, but it shows in crunch time drills and competitive workouts. "It's not about not feeling pressure," his psychologist said. "It's about becoming the kind of person who performs inside it." The invisible edge. As the season approaches, Doncic's mental game may be the most valuable weapon in his arsenal. It's invisible on stat sheets, impossible to quantify in analytics, and easy to overlook in a league obsessed with metrics. But to those paying attention, it's becoming clear. This version of Luka Doncic isn't just smarter. He's more centered, more stable, and more prepared than ever before. In the world of professional sports, physical dominance and mental sharpness are only part of the equation. For global stars like Luka Doncic, image, branding, and narrative also play a critical role. And as Doncic re-emerges this offseason with a sculpted body, refined mindset, and elevated leadership, so too has his brand undergone a transformation, one as calculated as his new footwork. "The Luka we're seeing now isn't just a better player," said a European marketing executive. "He's a completely different product. A more focused, elite international brand. From prodigy to professional." For years, Luka's image was rooted in youth and spontaneity, the boy genius who made impossible passes look casual, who smiled through clutch moments, and who never seemed to be trying too hard. That identity, while marketable, often leaned on the charm of his natural talent rather than the discipline behind the scenes. Now the narrative has matured. Recent campaigns surrounding Doncic feature sharper visuals, minimalist designs, and messages focused on preparation, resilience, and growth. Gone are the playful taglines. In their place, statements like "redefined," "built not born," and "more than magic." It's a subtle rebranding that matches his current stage, less about flair, more about legacy. The sponsorship ripple effect. Major brands have taken notice. Nike, which already had a long-term deal with Doncic and launched his signature shoe line, is reportedly working on a second-generation design that reflects his off-season evolution, focusing more on performance, lighter materials, and precision stability rather than flashy aesthetics. Other sponsors have followed suit. A European performance supplement company, previously peripheral in Doncic's endorsement portfolio, is now a central partner in promoting his clean diet and recovery-focused lifestyle. The campaign includes behind-the-scenes content showing his meal prep, sleep routine, and mental training, offering fans a rare look inside the process, not just the product. "Consumers don't just want highlight reels anymore," said a US-based agency rep. "They want authenticity." Luka's transformation gives brands a new, honest story to tell. Social media reimagined. Doncic's own social media presence has evolved alongside his body and game. While he still posts the occasional off-court moment, a family photo, a light-hearted meme, the tone has shifted. More training footage. more recovery snapshots, fewer distractions. The captions are more intentional, often reflecting themes of self-improvement, commitment, and gratitude. And perhaps most telling, interactions with fans and teammates have become more encouraging, more motivational. He's no longer just sharing moments, he's shaping perspective. He's not trying to sell an image, a Slovenian journalist wrote recently. He's showing us the journey, and that's more powerful. Global expansion rebalanced. As Doncic's brand grows, so does its reach, particularly outside the United States. In Europe, where he's already a household name, his reinvention has cemented his status not just as a basketball star, but as a role model for dedication and reinvention. Brands are adjusting their strategy accordingly. Instead of simply plastering his face on products, they're building narratives around effort, struggle, and growth, concepts that resonate universally. In Asia, several sports networks have begun framing Doncic's off-season work ethic as a case study in high-performance living. Even in North America, where personality-driven marketing often overshadows discipline, Doncic's brand is starting to represent something different: the quiet killer. The player who doesn't talk much but shows up every night at full speed, ready to outthink and outwork his opponent. The business of authenticity. More than anything, Doncic's new image reflects the changing values of modern sports consumers. Fans no longer gravitate only to flash or charisma. They connect with process, transparency, and purpose. And Luka, whether intentionally or instinctively, is giving them exactly that. He's become a brand of discipline, said a brand strategist with ties to the NBA. And in today's culture, that's priceless. His merchandise is selling at record rates, with limited edition drops tied to his training series and off-season themes. His YouTube documentary, focused on his off-season grind, has pulled millions of views. And perhaps most impressively, his fanbase has broadened demographically, now pulling interest not only from sports fans but also fitness enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and young professionals. A platform redefined. What does all of this mean for Luka Doncic? More than just endorsement deals or brand growth. It means control. With his redefined image, he now has the platform to impact culture beyond basketball. Whether it's promoting youth training programs in Slovenia or launching a mental health initiative in the NBA, he's positioned to do more than win games. As the dust settles on a transformative offseason, one question remains: what does all of this really mean for Luka Doncic, and for the future of basketball? The narrative that once defined Luka was simple: a prodigious talent from Europe with uncanny vision and flair, who defied age and geography to become a superstar in the NBA. But now, that story has evolved into something far more complex and far more powerful. This isn't just about skill anymore. It's about intent. It's about evolution. It's about greatness by design. You don't just become elite by accident, said a former NBA All-Star turned analyst. You choose it. Luka has chosen it. A new definition of prime. Historically, a player's prime was seen as a natural peak, a window of time when youth, experience, and physical health align. But Doncic's offseason has challenged that view. He hasn't waited for time to dictate his prime, he's actively engineered it. Through diet, sleep, mental training, and relentless preparation, he's reshaped what his body and mind can offer. And he's done it proactively at an age when many stars are still coasting on talent alone. He's not reacting to decline, said a Lakers strength coach. He's preparing for dominance. It's the kind of mindset that redefines longevity. Not just playing longer, but playing better, deeper into a career with fewer drop-offs and more consistency. Greatness without drama. One of the more refreshing aspects of Luka's rise is its quietness. Unlike other stars who often surround their ascents with spectacle, Luka's transformation has been private, disciplined, and humble. No major press conferences. No social media stunts. No bold declarations. Instead, he let the work speak. And in doing so, he set a new example, especially for international players and young athletes watching from afar. He's proving that greatness doesn't have to come with noise. It can be built in silence, shaped in sweat, and revealed one play at a time, changing the cultural narrative. In a league often driven by hype cycles and off-court storylines, Luka's transformation is forcing a cultural shift. He's moved the conversation from what's flashy to what's foundational. From viral moments to consistent mastery. From being liked to being respected. Young players around the league are noticing. Coaches are using him as a model in film rooms. His image is being used not to sell shoes, but to inspire preparation, commitment, and the pursuit of potential. This is how legacy begins, not in the awards but in the example. The unfinished story. Of course, Luka's journey is still in motion. Championships remain the ultimate measuring stick in the NBA, and critics will wait for postseason proof before fully rewriting his legacy. But the foundation is clear. He's already achieved something few athletes ever do. He's changed the conversation around him. From, "Is he ready?" to, "Can anyone stop him now?" From, "He's talented but flawed," to, "He might be the most complete player in the league." He has reframed expectations. Not just of himself but of what it means to evolve. For the Lakers, the league, and beyond. Within the Lakers organization, Luka's evolution is not just seen as a personal win. It's become the cultural compass of the team. His discipline has lifted teammates. His transformation has validated the front office's vision. His mindset has given the franchise a new identity. Around the league, his presence now demands deeper game planning, greater respect, and, perhaps most meaningfully, admiration. And globally, fans who once watched Luka for the fun are now watching for the form. For the growth. For the symbol he's becoming. Legacy in the making. In the end, greatness isn't always about what you do. It's about how far you're willing to go to become who you're meant to be. Luka Doncic has shown the world that talent may open the door, but evolution is what keeps you walking through it. This off-season wasn't just a training phase. It was a declaration. This is who I am. And this is only the beginning.